In this episode, we are looking at a group of mobile risks that matter because they often begin quietly and then become serious before the user understands what changed. A phone or tablet can look normal on the surface while trust in that device is already slipping underneath. For a beginner, that is the main reason this topic matters. You do not need to become a mobile security engineer to be useful here, but you do need to recognize the signs that the device is no longer operating inside its normal safe limits. Rooting, jailbreaking, sideloading, spoofed apps, and permission abuse all weaken trust in different ways, and the sooner a technician notices those warning signs, the better the chance of protecting accounts, data, and the rest of the environment before the damage spreads any further. Before we continue, a quick note. This audio course is part of our companion study series. The first book is a detailed study guide that explains the exam and helps you prepare for it with confidence. The second is a Kindle-only ebook with 1,000 flashcards you can use on your mobile device or Kindle for quick review. You can find both at Cyber.Me in the Bare Metal Study Guide series. A normal mobile trust boundary is easier to understand than it may sound at first. In simple terms, it means the device is still operating under the protections the maker and the platform intended, with normal update paths, normal app controls, and normal security checks still in place. The phone is using its approved operating system, OS. Apps are mostly coming from the normal App Store, permissions are being granted in expected ways, and the device is not giving apps or users extra power outside the standard rules. That boundary matters because mobile security is built around the idea that the device should not give away full control too easily. When a phone moves outside that boundary, the technician should stop assuming the usual protections are still working as expected. A device can still turn on, connect, and run apps while already being less trustworthy than it looks. Rooting is one way a device moves outside that normal trust boundary. Rooting usually means giving the user or software deeper control over the mobile system than the platform intended for normal use. Some people do this because they want more customization, more control, or access to features that the phone normally keeps restricted. For a beginner, the important point is that rooting is not automatically the same thing as malware, but it does reduce the safety of the device because it weakens or bypasses controls that were there for a reason. Once those controls are relaxed, harmful apps can gain more access and normal security assumptions become less reliable. A rooted device is harder to trust because the system is no longer working inside the ordinary guardrails that help block misuse, limit permissions, and keep apps from reaching parts of the phone they should not control. Jailbreaking is similar, but the term is more often used on other mobile platforms to describe the same basic idea. A jailbroken device has been changed so that the normal platform limits are no longer holding as firmly as they should. For a beginner, the easiest way to think about it is that rooting and jailbreaking are close cousins. Both mean the device has been pushed outside its normal protected condition so the user or software can do more than the original platform intended. That extra freedom may sound appealing to some users, but it comes with more risk because the built-in trust model has been weakened. Once the phone is jailbroken, it becomes easier for unsupported apps, unsafe changes, or hidden malicious software to operate with less resistance. A technician should hear jailbroken and immediately think that the device may no longer be following the normal rules that make mobile security more dependable. There are also warning signs that suggest a phone may be rooted or jailbroken even when the user does not say so clearly. Security-sensitive apps may suddenly refuse to run, updates may behave strangely, or the device may show unusual tools and settings that are not normally present for ordinary users. A banking app, a payment app, or a work app may report that the device is not trusted, which is a useful clue because those apps often check whether normal mobile protections are still in place. Sometimes the user will say they made the change on purpose because they wanted more control, but in other cases they may not understand what was done to the device or may have bought it secondhand without realizing its condition. For a beginner, the key lesson is simple. If important apps start complaining that the device is unsafe, or if the phone behaves like it has unusual system-level freedom, then the normal trust boundary may already be gone. Sideloading is another important concept because it changes where apps come from and how much checking they go through before they are installed. Sideloading means installing an app from somewhere other than the official app store for that platform. That may happen through a website, a downloaded file, a message link, a shared file, or some other outside source. For a beginner, the main point is not that every sideloaded app is automatically malicious. The point is that sideloading reduces the amount of trust that comes from the normal store process, where apps are at least screened and packaged through more controlled channels. When apps come from random websites, file-sharing services, or unknown senders, the device is taking on more risk because it is trusting software that did not go through the normal path. That alone should make a technician more cautious, even before any obvious damage appears on the screen. Sideloading becomes especially risky when the app arrived through pressure, surprise, or imitation. A user may be told to install a security update from a web page, a private business tool from a message, or a media player from a pop-up that claims normal content will not work without it. That is a problem because the user is being pushed away from the trusted app path and toward a manual install they do not fully understand. For beginners, a good warning sign is when the app came from a link instead of from the official store, especially if the link arrived unexpectedly or demanded action right away. Another warning sign is when the install process asks the user to allow software from unknown sources and the user agrees without a real business reason. A device has moved outside normal trust boundaries when it starts relying on random links and downloaded install files instead of the usual controlled app path. Spoofed applications create a different but closely related risk because they are built to look like legitimate apps even though they are not. A spoofed app may copy the name, icon, colors, or general appearance of a bank, chat tool, payment app, delivery app, or company tool so the user feels comfortable opening it. For a beginner, the important thing to understand is that a spoofed app does not have to look bad to be dangerous. In fact, the better it looks, the more likely it is to trick someone into trusting it. The goal is often to steal logins, capture payment details, collect personal information, or convince the user to approve extra access. A technician should pay attention when an app looks almost right but not fully right, or when a user says they downloaded something that looked official but came from a message or a search result instead of from the store they normally use. There are also behavior clues that make spoofed apps easier to recognize once they are installed. A fake app may ask for login details immediately without offering the normal features the real app is known for. It may have weak spelling, odd screens, missing menu options, or a setup flow that feels rushed and too focused on collecting information. Sometimes the icon is slightly off, the name is close but not exact, or the developer information does not match what the user expected. For a beginner, the main lesson is that a spoofed app often works hard to gain trust fast, and then starts asking for more than it should. A real business app usually behaves in a way users can verify through normal channels. A fake one often depends on speed, confusion, and appearance more than on real functionality. Once the user has typed passwords or payment details into that app, the damage may already be moving outward beyond the phone itself. Malicious mobile apps are the broader category that includes spoofed apps, but also goes beyond them. A malicious app may hide, show too many ads, steal information, track location, watch messages, abuse contacts, or keep reaching into parts of the device that do not fit its real purpose. Some malicious apps pretend to be useful tools. Others look like games, coupon apps, phone cleaners, battery savers, or free utilities that promise quick improvements. For beginners, the key point is that the app does not need to look openly evil to be a problem. It only needs to convince the user to install it and keep it running long enough to start collecting data or weakening the device. A technician should think about malicious apps as software that takes more than it gives. If an app's behavior seems far more interested in access, tracking, and control than in its claimed purpose, then it may already be doing harm. Permission abuse is one of the clearest ways malicious or badly designed apps reveal themselves. Apps often need some permissions to work properly, but the requested access should match the job the app is supposed to do. A map app needing location makes sense. A camera app needing camera access makes sense. A simple flashlight app asking for messages, contacts, microphone, and location at the same time should raise concerns because that much access does not fit the claimed purpose. For beginners, this is one of the best habits to build. When an app wants permission, ask whether that permission matches what the app actually does. If the answer feels weak or confusing, the app may be asking for access it does not truly need. Permission abuse matters because once access is granted, The app may be able to collect information or control features in ways the user did not really intend. The device itself also begins to show signs when mobile trust is breaking down. The battery may drain faster than normal. The phone may run hot while idle. Data usage may climb without a clear reason, and pop-ups or unexpected screens may start appearing more often. The browser may redirect strangely. Settings may change unexpectedly, or the user may notice unfamiliar apps, duplicate icons, or repeated prompts asking for more control over the device. For a beginner, these signs are useful because they show that mobile risk is often visible before the user understands the cause. A rooted phone, a sideloaded app, a spoofed app, or an app abusing permissions may each create slightly different symptoms, but they often have one thing in common. The device stops behaving like a normal, predictable, well-controlled phone and starts behaving like a system that something else is trying to steer. There are also a few misconceptions that beginners should clear up early. Rooting or jailbreaking is not automatically the same thing as a malware infection, but it does make the device harder to trust because the normal protections are weaker. Sideloading is not always malicious, but it is riskier because it moves app trust away from the standard store process and toward whatever source sent the file. An app being in the official store does not make it perfect forever, but it is still usually a safer starting point than random websites and message links. A polished-looking app can still be fake, and a free app can still be costly if it collects too much information or misuses granted permissions. For a beginner technician, the goal is not to panic at every unusual app. The goal is to recognize when the phone is operating outside its usual safety model and stop trusting appearances alone. Once suspicion is high, the technician should focus on limiting harm instead of pretending the device is still normal. A user should stop entering passwords, payment details, or other sensitive information on that phone until the situation is understood better. Suspicious apps should be reviewed carefully, unnecessary permissions should be removed where possible, and unsupported changes, such as rooting or jailbreaking, should be treated as a serious trust problem for any work-related use. If the device belongs to an employer, that usually means reporting it right away instead of trying to hide the issue or keep using it until later. If the concern centers on one bad app, removing that app may be part of the answer. But the bigger point is that a phone outside normal trust boundaries should not keep being treated like a safe place for business accounts and personal secrets. Early recognition matters because continued use gives the problem more time to spread. As we close, the main lesson is that mobile trust is built on normal rules staying in place. A device using its normal OS, normal update path, normal app store, and normal permission controls is easier to trust because the built-in protections are still doing their job. Rooting and jailbreaking weaken those protections. Sideloading moves trust away from the normal app path. Spoofed apps trick users by looking legitimate, and malicious apps often reveal themselves through permission abuse, strange behavior, fast battery drain, heat, data use, or unexpected changes to the device. For a beginner, that is the big picture to remember. You do not have to know every advanced mobile attack to be helpful. You need to recognize when a phone or tablet no longer fits its normal safe pattern and act before that loss of trust spreads into stolen accounts, exposed data, and a much larger problem.
Thanks for listening. For more audio courses, daily newsletters, and more, please visit DailyCyber.News.